Jada, I love you. G.I. Jane 2, can't wait to see it. All right? that was a nice one. Okay. I'm out here. Richard. Oh, wow. Wow. Will Smith just smacked the shit out of me.
For a long time, Will Smith felt untouchable. Not just another celebrity, but the kind of name studios built entire schedules around. The safe pick. The face you attach to huge budgets because audiences show up, families approve, and the brand stays clean. He was funny without going too far, emotional without looking unstable, charismatic without feeling forced. Parents trusted him. Kids looked up to him. From major franchises to inspirational dramas, he did not just appear in hits. He represented the idea of hits, a symbol of success, positivity, and the version of Hollywood that promised you could be famous and still feel safe. And then that image started changing. Not in one night, not with one single moment, more like a slow fracture, a reputation that chipped piece by piece until the public could not ignore it anymore.
Hey everybody, I just wanted to talk about something really important. Earlier this year, I was hired to be a performer on a major tour with somebody who is huge in the industry. So I was excited, proud of myself for getting the opportunity. Unfortunately, some things happened, and I can't get into the details of exactly what that was, because it's already a legal issue right now. But the reason why I'm speaking out about this is because getting fired or getting blamed or shamed or threatened or anything like that, simply for reporting sexual misconduct or safety threats at work, is not okay. And I know that there's a lot of other people out there who have been afraid to speak up, and I understand. And if that's you, I see you. And that's pretty much it. More updates to come soon.
What makes the shift feel unsettling is not only what happened, it is how quickly someone once treated like a cultural good guy became a constant target. First jokes, then memes, then headlines filled with claims and legal language no one expected to see tied to his name. A lot of people trace the public turning point back to the moment the world got pulled deep into his personal life. When Jada Pinkett Smith spoke publicly about an entanglement, it was not just celebrity gossip. It became a spectacle, not because relationships are simple, but because the details played out in public, and the internet did what it always does. Suddenly, people were not laughing with Will Smith anymore. They were laughing at him. Clips spread everywhere. Facial expressions got analyzed. Interviews got replayed. Awkward moments became their own category of content. Frame by frame, the internet built a storyline that did not match the confident persona he had spent decades building. Even then, plenty of people still had sympathy. They saw embarrassment, not villainy. Until the Oscars, that moment was not just a mistake, it was a cultural shock. Watching Will Smith walk on stage and strike Chris Rock live did not read as strength to many people. It read as a breaking point. In one sequence, the polished image collapsed. He went from Hollywood's golden boy to someone the public did not know how to defend anymore. And yet that still was not the end. Because after the memes, after the debates, after the apology cycle, another story began surfacing. A story that did not depend on viral jokes, but on court filings, legal claims, and workplace allegations that can carry real consequences. Not long ago, a video appeared online that most people barely noticed. It was not flashy. It did not come from a huge creator. It was posted by a musician named Brian King Joseph, a professional violinist. In that video, Brian spoke carefully. No names, no direct accusations spelled out, just guarded language about being mistreated, feeling unsafe, and experiencing what he described as serious workplace issues while working around someone powerful in entertainment. At first, the clip did not travel far. Brian was not a massive influencer with millions of followers. Without naming anyone, the algorithm moved on. Then later, court documents became public. And that is when this stopped being internet talk. And according to those filings, Brian King Joseph formally filed a lawsuit naming Will Smith and a company tied to tour operations. The claims described in that lawsuit were detailed, and they immediately changed the tone of the conversation. In the lawsuit, Brian alleges he was brought into the orbit of a major tour project. Early on, he says the dynamic felt unusual, not standard mentoring, more personal focus, private conversations, time alone, reassurances about how special the connection was. At first, he reportedly interpreted it as flattering, a global star noticing his talent, a career moment you do not question. But over time, he claims that attention became uncomfortable. The filing describes professional boundaries blurring, and Brian says the interaction shifted in ways he did not welcome. He also claims he felt increasingly isolated from the rest of the team as the situation escalated. Then the lawsuit describes a key incident during a Las Vegas stop. Brian alleges he returned to his hotel room, a room booked and managed through tour staff, and immediately sensed something was off. Nothing looked smashed, no obvious damage, but the room did not look the way it should. The filing also describes an earlier issue that day. Brian alleges his bag, the one containing his room key, went missing while tour logistics were being handled. He says that detail later felt significant. Inside the room, he says he found items that were not his and that he describes as deeply unsettling. A red backpack, wipes, a beer bottle, hospital discharge papers tied to someone else. He also describes a prescription item labeled with a different person's name. And then, according to the lawsuit, there was a note. The filing claims the note was handwritten and addressed to him by name, with language implying someone intended to return. Brian says he interpreted that as alarming, as a message suggesting an unwelcome situation might be implied, something expected of him that he had not agreed to. According to the complaint, he contacted hotel security, called a local non-emergency police line, and reported the situation to tour representatives. The lawsuit further alleges that security footage was reviewed and did not show a clear outside intruder. Instead, the filing claims the footage reflected activity tied to authorized access connected to tour operations. Then comes what Brian describes as the turning point. According to his complaint, when he raised concerns, the response was not support. It was dismissal. Not, let's look into it. Not, are you okay? Dismissal. He alleges he was accused of making it up, pressured, and then told the tour was moving in a different direction. Soon after, he says he was terminated and replaced. In the lawsuit's framing, that sequence is not coincidence. A report is made, the report is challenged, the person who spoke up is removed. Brian also describes serious emotional impact, including anxiety, distress, and long-term psychological strain. Will Smith's legal team has responded with a firm denial, rejecting the allegations and indicating they intend to contest the claims. And that is where the legal side stands for now. But culturally, the story did not land in isolation. Once a powerful name becomes tied to serious claims in court filings, the internet does what it always does. It starts digging. It starts connecting dots. It starts resurfacing older clips, older interviews, and older claims people previously ignored or dismissed. One thing matters here. Public discussion is not the same as a court finding. Still, this is what happened next in the public conversation. After the lawsuit became public, people began pointing to other high-profile cases and saying the shape felt familiar. Not identical, not the same evidence, not the same people, but a recognizable structure. Influence, access, blurred professional boundaries, and then denial and removal once someone speaks up. That is part of why Brian's filing hit harder than many expected. The lawsuit uses strong language about the dynamic, framing it as a process rather than a single moment. It describes a pattern of attention, emotional positioning, and alleged boundary testing that Brian claims built gradually over time. And the complaint suggests the Las Vegas incident was not simply confusing or accidental, but a turning point, a line in the sand, a moment that, as the filing frames it, forced a decision. Stay quiet, accept what is happening, or push back. He says when he pushed back, the door shut. That part unsettled people because the public has seen similar response patterns in other celebrity disputes. Strong denials, no admission, no acknowledgement, just statements through lawyers. And once a lawsuit enters the public record, the internet often resurfaces older claims that were previously treated as tabloid noise. One claim that circulated in online discussion involved a former associate speaking in an interview about Will Smith and actor Dwayne Martin.
You see the hundreds of celebrities that I've done business with, done things with. During the latter years of our relationship, Will was not my friend. I was his friend. I could tell you what goes on the inside. Everybody else is just speculation. And then I've saw acts when I walked in on.
Who'd you walk in on?
Him and Dwayne Martin. Door to Dwayne's dressing room, and that's when I see Dwayne and having sex with Will. There was a couch, and Will was bent over on the couch, and Dwayne was standing up, killing, like murder. It was there.
Will Smith's side publicly rejected those claims, dismissing them as fabricated and financially motivated. That is not a verdict, it is part of a wider public conversation that gets amplified when new legal filings appear. Then some commentators go further back, revisiting Will Smith's rise and pointing to how quickly doors opened for him at key moments. Will Smith has spoken publicly about being reckless with money early in his career and later facing serious financial consequences. He has described being famous yet vulnerable at one point, and vulnerability in entertainment can attract powerful people who offer help that comes with expectations. That is where industry gatekeepers enter the conversation. A name that often appears in those discussions is Benny Medina, a major Hollywood figure with deep access. Over the years, different allegations have been made about Medina publicly, and those claims have been debated in media coverage and online commentary. They are allegations, not findings of guilt, and different accounts exist. Still, when people talk about gatekeepers, his name is frequently part of that broader discussion. Another name that appears in long-running Hollywood talk is Quincy Jones, an iconic figure known for enormous influence. Some online narratives suggest that major career breakthroughs are not always about talent alone, but about access and relationships. There is no verified evidence of wrongdoing involving Will Smith and Quincy Jones. Still, speculation has circulated for decades, largely because of how power structures in entertainment are perceived by the public. What matters legally is what can be proven. Will Smith's team denies the allegations in Brian King Joseph's lawsuit. The case will stand or fall on evidence, testimony, and what can be established through legal process. Culturally, though, the damage is already in motion. Because Will Smith was never treated like just another celebrity. He was a symbol, the guy people pointed to as proof you could be a global superstar and still feel clean, stable, and family-friendly. Once that symbol cracks, people do not only question allegations, they question the entire image, the marriage, the silence, the outbursts, the defensiveness. It all starts to look different. So is Will Smith guilty? We do not know. But has public perception changed? Absolutely. And whether this lawsuit succeeds or fails, it has already shifted how people see him. The pedestal is gone. The benefit of the doubt is thinner. And in today's culture, once public trust breaks, it rarely returns to what it was. This is not about canceling anyone. It is about accountability in industries that often thrive on silence. If Brian King Joseph's claims are true, then his case becomes bigger than one celebrity. It becomes a story about how influence works, how careers can be controlled, and why people fear speaking up. And if the claims are not supported, then the lawsuit will collapse under scrutiny. Either way, the conversation is not going away. For decades, Hollywood decided which stories were allowed to exist. Now the internet plays a huge role in deciding what spreads, what sticks, and what people keep questioning. So what do you think? Is this the start of another major reckoning in entertainment, or is it a collision of rumor, resentment, and a fallen icon that people are projecting onto? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you found this breakdown interesting, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you do not miss what comes next. This story is still unfolding, and we will be watching how it develops. I will see you in the next one.